Hello everyone, and thank you so much for being here. One of our greatest resources is our time, and I am so grateful that you have chosen to spend part of your time here with me. And I promise to do my very best to make it worth your while. To get started today, what I'd like you to do is take anything that is in your hands and go ahead and put it to the side. And go ahead and take your feet and put them flat on the floor. And go ahead and take your hands and put them flat on your knees. Close your eyes. And take a nice deep breath in for me, please. And exhale. And go ahead and take a nice deep breath in for me, please. And exhale. Go ahead and keep your eyes closed. Imagine if every moment of your life was recorded. Everything you did, everything you said, all the places that you went, all the ways in which you spent your time. And towards the end of your life, a museum was built to honor you. Only your museum would show your life exactly how you lived it. So if 80% of your time was spent at a job that you didn't enjoy, or on activities that you didn't like, then 80% of your museum would be dedicated towards that. There would be pictures, videos, kiosks, all showing you spending your time on these things that didn't bring you joy. If you love spending time with your family, or your friends, or pursuing some particular passion or hobby, but for whatever reason, you only spent 2% of your time on those loves, then no matter how much you wished it to be different, only 2% of your museum would be dedicated towards that. Maybe just a few pictures near the exit door. Imagine what it would be like to walk your museum. What would you see? How would you feel? Now imagine if heaven, or the afterlife, or however you perceive this whole experience to work, actually consists of you being the tour guide for your own museum for all of eternity. Excellent. Take a nice deep breath in for me, please. And exhale. Go ahead and open your eyes, shake your arms out a little. Ladies and gentlemen, if at any time in the future you feel yourself stressed or overwhelmed, I encourage you to take a few minutes and go into a quiet space and spend a little quality time in your museum. It is one of the most amazing ways to center yourself, and it is incredibly useful for something like, which way should I go on a particular decision? Because when you enter that space and you think to myself, if I go left, what would that look like in the museum of my life? If I go right on that path, what would that look like? And it'll provide you with amazing guidance, I promise you, for the rest of your life. Now, I have found the way to create an amazing museum. A museum that you would be proud to walk not just today, not just tomorrow, but literally for all of eternity, is by focusing on something called your Big Five for life. At the age of 33, I did something that most people said was crazy. I left behind a very lucrative career, sold almost everything I owned, and went to go backpack around the world for a year on $40 a day with my wife. And it was something that I dreamed about, something that I'd wanted to do, and it was absolutely a life-changing experience. And one of the most powerful places during that adventure was Africa. And when you go to Africa, everyone talks about something called the African Big Five. And it's the 5 specific animals that people want to see on safari. And they gauge the success of their safari experience based on how many of these 5 they see. So if they see 2 of the African Big Five, it's like, pretty good. 4 of the African Big Five, better. And if they see all 5 of the African Big Five, nirvana, right? This is exactly what I came to Africa for. Well, coming out of that experience, I had a pretty major epiphany. And I thought to myself, what if we were to look at our lives that way? What if we were to articulate the 5 things that we most want to do, see, or experience in our lifetime before we die? The 5 things so powerful that if we were to do, see, or experience them, that on our deathbed in the last moments of our time, we could look back over our life and we could say, you know what? No matter what else I did or I didn't get to, I got to those things, and therefore my life was a success by my own definition of success. And what if we were to align our resources on those? Our time, our energy, our thoughts, our financial resources, all aligned to helping us live the life that we want to live. Now, your Big Five for life can be short-term in nature. Maybe you say, I want to watch the sunset over the Serengeti, just one time. Or they could be longer term in nature. You may say, I want to have a loving relationship with the people that matter most to me. The choice is entirely yours. Since we have a limited time together today, I would like to share with you 5 guiding concepts to help you fill your museum with amazing moments as you live your Big 5 for life. Item number 1, it's who, not how. So many times in life when we know where we're at in our existence and where we want to go to, the question that pops up in our mind is, well, how do I get there? And the problem with this is that question how is full of learning curves and barriers and obstacles. And every one of those is like a mountain. But we say to ourselves, no, this is something so important to me, right? I'm willing to invest the time, invest the energy. And we get to the top of that first mountain and we look out and we see another mountain. And we say, no, but this is something so important to me. So we invest more time, we invest more energy. We get to the top of that second mountain. We look out and we see another mountain. And by the time most people get to the third mountain, they give up. They have succumbed. Because the question to ask is not how. The question to ask, my friends, is who. I guarantee you that no matter what is on your Big 5 for life list, someone at some point in the history of the planet has already done, seen, or experienced what you want to do, see, or experience. The trick is to use the power of the technologies that we have at our disposal. Find these who's, learn everything you can about them, and then imitate it. That single small adjustment in the way that you do things will change your life in incredible ways. All right, concept number 2, shuffling through the Caribbean. A woman once shared with me this incredible story of the power of using who versus how. She said, I went to school and I was trained as a chef. And when I got done with school, I decided that what I really wanted to do was to go cruise the Caribbean. And so I used this other aspect of the who technique, which is telling everybody possible about your dream. She said, I told my parents, I told my friends, I told the rest of my family, told the people at the school where I was trained as a chef. So a week later, her phone rings and it's the people at the chef school. They say, you're not going to believe this, but a guy just walked in. He and his wife own a private yacht. They're looking to go sail the Caribbean, and they're looking to hire a personal chef. And we thought of you. I said, well, what happened? She said, well, I got the call. I did the interview, which consisted of making a bunch of meals. They loved it, and I got hired. I said, well, what was it like? I said, what did you do exactly? She said, well, as the chef, I was responsible for making the meals. I said, all the meals? She said, no, there's lots of islands in the Caribbean. She said, a lot of times they would stop, so I just had to make it when they weren't doing that stuff. It's like, oh my gosh. I said, well, what about serving the food? Were you responsible for that? She said, oh, no. They had a person to do that. So what about cleaning up afterwards? Oh, no. They had a person to take care of that. I said, how about buying your groceries? She said, well, I like to do that as a chef, but if I didn't feel like doing it, they had a person who would take care of that. I said, where did you stay? She said, oh, I had my own private stateroom aboard the yacht. And then I'll never forget, she looked right at me and she said, oh, and I got paid a lot of money for this too. And I asked her, I said, how long did you do this for? She said, 18 months. 18 months? I said, why did you quit? She said, I got bored of cruising the Caribbean. How many of you would like to have the problem of being bored of being paid to cruise the Caribbean doing something that you love? That, ladies and gentlemen, is a Big 5 for life type of problem. All right, concept number 3, the power of selfless-ish. And if you can embrace this concept, this paradigm shift, I promise you, it will change your life in unbelievable ways. And I can say that with such certainty because it has absolutely 100% changed my life. A while back, I'm standing on a stage talking to over 1,000 teachers. And I asked them a question. I said, how many of you have an easier time giving help than receiving help? And almost every hand goes up, which is not entirely unexpected because I find that people with the biggest hearts have this issue. And teachers, I find, have some of the biggest hearts, the great teachers. So I said something to them, which gave me a very high chance of being the only person in recent history to be thrown off a stage by a mob of angry teachers. I said, why are you being so selfish? And because I sensed my immediate potential demise, I followed that up quickly with another question, which was, why do you help people? And someone yelled out from the crowd, they said, because it makes a positive difference in their lives. said, well, that's true. And someone else yelled out, because when I do that, I know that it helps them in some capacity. And that's totally true too. But then one young lady in the front raised her hand. So of course I called on her. And she said, I help people because it makes me feel good. And that right there is the crux of it. We help people because it makes us feel good. And therefore, when we don't allow them to help us, we are denying them the opportunity to feel good. And that's selfish. And here's the thing. People love to help, but they really love to help on the big things. And there is nothing bigger than you articulating the things that you most want to do, see, or experience in your life. So do yourself a favor. If you've struggled with this, allow people to help you. Let them be happy. Don't be selfish. Concept number 4. Things we love come to an end. My father is 79 years old, and he's been suffering from Parkinson's disease for many, many years now. And unfortunately, the symptoms of that, he has trouble with his balance, he has trouble with his vision, he has trouble remembering things at times. And ever since he's a little kid, he's always loved to fish, and he loved it as an adult too. But there came a time because of his medical condition that he just couldn't do it anymore. And you know, in our everyday lives, it's not like being a celebrity athlete. A celebrity athlete, they retire and they get the whole unbelievable tour, right? Every stadium, there's videos showing their highlights and the rest of that. And they have this fantastic experience of celebrating each step of their retirement. But life isn't quite like that. You know, we don't get the countdown. My dad didn't get to know that he had 10 trips left, and then 5, and then 4, and then 3, and then 1. And I think the main takeaway from that for us is to just try and appreciate a little extra bit things as we're going through them. And I'm not saying we take this to the extreme, right? It's not like I'm eating a grape. This may be the last grape I ever eat, and I'm chewing my grape for the 7th time. This might be the last time I ever chew a grape 7 times, right? That's too much. But I think that we can take a moment for the things that matter to us. I'm getting on an airplane, and I'm flying off to an exotic destination for an adventure. I'm heading off to a restaurant that I love to have one of my favorite meals. Or I'm seeing a friend of mine and I know that I'm going to give them a giant hug, the kind of hug that lets them know you matter to me. Because I think that if we do that and we do it well, then no matter when the end comes, we'll know that during the course of our life, we're 100% full in. All right, concept number 5. Amazon doesn't deliver this. Statistically speaking, the average life is approximately 28,900 days. If you take your age, multiply by 365, and subtract from 28,900, statistically, that's about how many days you have left. And if we're not careful, a day becomes a week becomes a month becomes a year. And if nothing has changed for us, then we end up doing the same thing next year that we just did last year. Very often I hear people say something to the effect of, as soon as I have more free time, then I'm going to insert dream of choice. It's like we have this perception that we're going to open the door one day to head out to our car. We're going to look down, and there's a box sitting there. Say, honey, great news. Amazon delivered the box of free time. Now we can finally start doing those things we most want to do. And while that would be awesome, if that's the way that it actually worked, we know that it's not. We get the free time. We get to live the life we want by consciously looking at our calendar, consciously looking at our life, and crossing off the things that are not what matter to us most, and substituting in the things that do. Ladies and gentlemen, our time here is winding to a close, and I want to leave you with one final thought. I believe that everyone has genius within them. Everyone has something special to offer. And when we allow ourselves to be our most authentic, that is when we let that genius out. And in the process of doing that, not only we get to live a spectacular life, but we also do one of the most important things possible. We inspire others to let their genius come forth. And maybe, just maybe, that is the purpose of this little game called life. Thank you so much for spending part of your life here with me today. Thank you.